another day, another example of Topps absolutely crap in the bed, right? They've come out and done something that is not overly surprising given their recent news, but they've done some things here that I don't necessarily like or agree with, and not many people are talking about it. I've seen a lot of discussion on Twitter, but nowhere else really. And this comes with Topps Baseball 2023, the update series, because essentially what they did was when they sold this product, it was, pre-saled as at 24 packs per box. It gets released at 20 packs per box. And people saw this and were in a bit of an uproar because it didn't make sense. The price remained the same, it didn't reduce, and people thought they were getting shafted. Now, to give you guys some context, I'll quickly bring up, the Cardboard Connection page on screen right now. You can see here that they even mentioned the fact that, it still maintains one autograph or relic per box, but it drops from 24 packs down to 20. And this is an example of what essentially the listing looked like previously, every 24 pack hobby box. And then once it was released, you essentially had 20 packs. Now, people saw this and immediately thought, okay, well, what is going on? Is Topps doing something dirty here, right? They've maintained the price, they've got rid of packs. Are they screwing us over? Are they simply, taking 4 packs out of every box so they can make more boxes and therefore more money? And that's where, the mindset went from many, because obviously if that happened, that would be completely unacceptable. But what Topps essentially came out with, a day or two later after people, complained about this sort of thing was that they said, well, hang on a minute, guys, we didn't actually do that. We simply only removed the additional base cards per box, right? So every box still has the same chance. We've just removed all the unnecessary base cards. Those 4 packs we've taken out. We've kept the inserts from them, but we've gotten rid of the base, right? We haven't made more boxes. We haven't made more packs. We've simply taken base cards out. And what they talked to here, which I found a little bit confusing at first because it didn't really make sense, was that basically you have now a greater chance to hit a parallel or, an insert card than you did previously. And the way it was explained to me, because it was, like I said, a little bit confusing, was that let's say previously you had 500 base cards, and every 500 base cards on average, you got, one insert or one, parallel. Well, what is happening now is they took 200 base cards out. So you only have to go through 300 base cards now to hit that same parallel or insert, i.e. better odds for you as a customer. The one thing here that I very much liked that they did was they basically told people, if you're not happy with this, we stuffed up, we're going to give you a full refund. But the element that I don't like is the way they went about it, right? Because yes, they sort of did the right thing in the end by increasing the odds and removing base cards. I've talked to that many times. There is way too many base cards within product these days. It's so unnecessary. It's so bad for the environment, all that kind of thing. It's good to remove it. But to sort of do it, after you've already sold the product and released the product, and then you don't basically tell people, you tell people once the box arrives and they say, hang on a minute, wasn't there meant to be 24 packs in this box? What gives? That's the part that I don't like. And that's the part that scares me and is another clear example of, Topps almost not knowing what they're doing, right? When you look at the mistakes that have happened, this is, another notch in the same belt, unfortunately, right? They've continually made these mistakes, and it worries me about the trends that we're sort of seeing with them as a business and what it means for the things that we're going to get long term. I talk about value we get as customers all the time, and you guys in the comments give me crap for repeating myself, but this is a company that forgot to put rookie SPs and SSPs in. They didn't tell anyone. People complained once the product was busted and they realized, and then Topps backtracked. This is the same company that had cards backdoored out of Bowman Chrome and Topps Chrome, and these were released to the general public 6 months before either of those products released, and they had fake orders on them, right? And they've still not said anything. This is the same company that stuffed up with the printing of those planetary inserts, or however they're referred to. I think the universal, whatever they are, where you have, themes or inserts around certain planets, and certain planets aren't even in the set. Some have more than they should, and they've not come out and said anything about that, right? You've then had other issues with other rookie cards being completely gone from product. You've then had, the buyback issue with the duplicate superfractors, and sort of now this. It's like, what are you guys doing? Topps, what are you doing? Well, Fanatics acquired you guys. They didn't really do a whole restructuring, right? We saw some employees get let go and all that sort of thing, but you like to think a business that's been around for that long, right, and has that much experience and exposure within this industry, you don't expect them to be making these kinds of mistakes, and they sort of just keep happening. And what we're sort of stuck dealing with as a customer is not Topps noticing this stuff before production. It's sort of coming out, and then people complain, and then they come out and respond, right? It's odd how it keeps getting to that point. And yes, in this case, they've done a good thing for the hobby, right? They've gotten rid of base cards, right? We don't need that crap. But like I said, the way they've gone about it is unacceptable, right? And they probably wouldn't have said anything if people didn't complain. And it's also how many people have come back and asked for a refund. And also, more alarmingly, how can you sort of still charge people the same amount of money, right? Like, yeah, base cards are not worth anything. You've given people better odds now. It's easier to get parallels, all that sort of stuff. You haven't removed those. But how can you charge people the same price when you've got, 4 less packs per box? Like, yeah, you've just removed base cards, but when you're looking at it from a activity-based costing perspective, right, you put your accounting hat on and you're trying to work out how to price this product, you are very naive to think that those 4 additional packs going into that box weren't priced into the price of that box, right? Surely you'd expect them to at least reduce the price in some capacity, right? So essentially, they've taken all the benefit from, reducing their overheads from the printing and the employees' time and all that sort of thing to produce those boxes, because now they've removed some of that time, but they haven't passed that on to you as a customer, right? So is this a sign of them testing the waters and going to try and do this elsewhere? Maybe, maybe not. But that's where my mind goes. That's the stuff that I don't like to see. It's unacceptable, in my opinion. And you couple that and, like I said, the trends about, okay, all these mistakes they're making and how they're sort of acting first and like they're doing the whole it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of thing, right? The fact they're going down that pathway and then doing stuff like this, as was explained on Sports Card Radio's live stream yesterday, that was the first time I saw it with these First Stich cards. It's like, guys, what are you doing as a business? This is very weird, right? If you guys weren't aware, this was announced as being some cool product that you should be chasing or wanting as a collector, as a fan of sport, as a collector. This is the stuff you want, right? They talked about First Stich cards. People saw this and thought it was similar to what they did with the MLB debut patches and what they're doing for other sports, where they put a patch on there, player's first game, they take it off, put it into a card. That's awesome. Obviously, it's really cool to have that sort of stuff. People thought this was more of the same. Turns out it's not. It's literally the authentic first mass-produced MLB jersey that you can see over here where my mouse is, right? It's literally the first jersey that Fanatics prints, right? And they're putting that into a card. It's like, well, why do we want that as collectors, right? It's not so much that we might or might not want this. It's like, why is your company making a big deal about it, right? Because we don't care about Fanatics. We don't care about your crap that you produce, right? We're fans of players and teams, not of you as a manufacturer. We don't give a crap that this is the first shirt you ever made. Like, why do we care about that? And the piece to this that I think is quite concerning about what they're going to give to us long term is, you look at the biggest gripe, or one of the biggest gripes that people have had with Panini in recent years, it's the number of non-event, non-player associated jerseys they've put in, right? That initially started as a COVID thing. It's now over, but they stuck to it because they knew people would buy it regardless, so they've still done it. You then have Fanatics come in and say they're going to change the game, they're going to bring value back, they're going to be the disruptors, they're going to change the game completely for cards. Yet they come out and produce something like this, and not just produce it, but they make a big deal about it. It's like, guys, that is very worrying, because this tells me that they're thinking down the same sort of lines as Panini, and people are going to chase this and lap it up and love it. But that's not what we want to see, right? Because they've done this, they've made all these mistakes, like I said, now done stuff like this, and people don't seem to care. They're going to keep creeping. It's almost like when you're working on a project, you have this thing called scope creep, right? Where it sort of impacts your deadline. You're developing something, you keep adding a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and eventually, you're doing far more than initially intended, or you've taken on more work because people keep offloading more stuff to you. You get to the end, and next thing you know, the thing you started with is not matching the thing you end with, right? They're doing something similar here, where they're testing the waters a little bit more with how much people, collectors, customers want and are going to be comfortable having all these mistakes, right? Doing this stuff now with the series update, releasing a product like this. It's like they're going to keep testing us until we get to a point where the things we're getting are utterly dog crap. So it is what it is. I'm keen to get your guys' thoughts on this whole situation. I just think it's weird, right? I just think it's so weird. We see what Fanatics do as an apparel business. I was very optimistic when they came in, maybe naively so. I was hesitant, obviously, but you see the stuff they do as an apparel business, and now we see stuff like this with all these mistakes and all these issues. It's like, okay, guys, there's a bit of a trend here. It's more of the same sort of stuff. You're reducing quality, you're trying to increase volume, your customer support sucks. We're seeing those now trends creeping into, the whole sports card space. And you'll have people come out like they did with the buyback program and praise, the outcome from Topps. And yes, it was good for them to be transparent and react fast, as I did explain myself. People will come out and say it's great. They gave people an opportunity for a refund with this update series. They'll say it's great. They're trying new stuff with cards like this. These are all the people that are trying to get Fanatics sponsorships. It's pretty clear which content creators these are. They're trying to do all this sort of stuff, praising them. But it's like, guys, why are you praising them, right? You need to be, okay, yes, you can be happy they've come out and given us a resolution, because we haven't really had Panini talk all that much in the last couple of years. But you should be filthy at them for allowing it to happen in the first place, right? Like I reeled off those issues, I should say, at the start. all these mistakes keep happening. You should be asking, why do they happen in the first place? Why do they keep happening? Why have you now done this with Hobby Series Update? Why are you releasing us a product that's this crap, instead of praising them for the outcome, right? I don't care about the outcome. We need to fix the bloody problem. We need to understand why it's happening. And nobody's doing that. And because nobody's asking that tough question, because everybody wants these guys freaking money, you're going to get the same thing keep happening. You're going to get that scope creep coming in and giving us crap value. So it is what it is. This video ended up being almost 11 minutes. I do apologize. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.